Welcome to It's Your Time, the podcast that feels like your best friend, your invisible wing woman, and the quiet whisper that reminds you you're not too late.
If I don't really want to achieve great things, really want to do in my 9 to 5, spend time with my family, that's it. That makes me happy. So I think there's this pressure on women to be everything and to go out there and achieve big things. Some women just don't want to do that, and that's fine.
I'm Joanne, and today we're going there. We're talking about beauty and what it means when the world tells you that it's fading. We're talking about boundaries and the kind that protects your peace and not just your calendar. And we're talking about sex, yes, in midlife, and why reclaiming your sensuality might just be the most radical act of all. And we're having that conversation with a woman who has never been afraid to speak her truth.
It's absolutely great to be normal. I can't stand this toxic positivity, this kind of good vibes only nonsense.
Laila Rouass is known for her unforgettable roles on screen, but behind the scenes, she's rewriting what it means to be a woman in her 50s. Powerful, grounded, and unfiltered.
It's just nonsense, isn't it? How could you possibly be in the top 100 in the world? There are so many beautiful women out there. So it's just who's a flavour of the month at that time. So don't take it seriously at all.
She grew up in a house where mirrors weren't allowed and went on to become the woman the world couldn't stop looking at.
It wasn't a sort of, no, you can't have mirrors. It was more about, don't get obsessed with the way that you look. So I've never been obsessed with all of that.
In this conversation, we talk about self-image, divorce, sexual well-being, and the deep, quiet work of coming home to yourself.
For me, the way I see things, I see it as a temporary thing. This is going to pass. When you're talking about menopause, it's completely natural what these women are going through, and it doesn't have to be permanent.
This episode is real, it's raw, and it's a revival.
You've got to realise you're your biggest ally, not your biggest enemy.
So wherever you are, walking, journaling, sitting in traffic, or hiding in your room with a cup of tea and 5 minutes to yourself, breathe in, listen close. This is your moment, because this is your time. I am so excited to have you with me today, the beautiful Laila. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for inviting me on.
Oh, I'm really, really excited. And do you know, something that really stood out for me, Laila, when we were talking on the phone was, here you are, this stunning woman, you know, you've had the world's eyes on you. You talked to me about being this little girl in a house that had no mirrors. Like, just tell me more about that.
Was my mum. There were 7 children, and they've immigrated from North Africa. So they'd come here to work. They had 7 kids. We were born here, 5 girls. And she just sort of didn't want us to be obsessed with the way that we look. She wanted to sort of, I don't know, just encourage us to focus more on the inside. I know that sounds a bit cringe, but there were mirrors. There was one in her room. There's one in the bathroom. Yeah. But that was it. We didn't have mirrors in our bedrooms or anything like that. No. So it was just more they used to always, my dad used to switch the electricity off as well, like once a week or once every 2 weeks, so that we would just be sort of forced to talk to each other. Couldn't read because there was no light, couldn't do any of that. So we'd be forced to sort of play games or whatever, just spend some time together, because they were working so often. That was the only time that they could really, get us together. So that's what it was about. It wasn't a sort of, no, you can't have mirrors. It was more about, let's just sort of don't get obsessed with the way that you look. So I've never been obsessed with all of that. No. I've never, I walk out the house. Most of the time I don't even look in the mirror at all.
And well, you're lucky.
No, I mean, amazing. I'm not. You haven't seen me on my normal day. But yeah. So it's not really played a big part in my life, really.
What you've just said, even as you've been speaking, feels so refreshing to me, because something that I think really frustrates me now is that everybody's so obsessed about the way they look from a very, very young age. There's like so much pressure on it. Young girls are using filters from a very, very young age. Girls are into aesthetics really, really early, and it's all about how they look. And actually, they have less time to look up and enjoy the world and life, because they've got their head down, actually looking down most of the time. So what you've just said, I don't know, I felt something in here going, that felt like a breath of fresh air. What about then bringing up your own daughter?
I mean, it's challenging at times, bringing up children, but I think it's getting better. I don't wanna put a doom and gloom on it.
Mm,
We're in the early days of social media, so there's always gonna be this influx of abusing it, so to speak, whether that's, people, looking at others and going, "Oh, look at her life." It's all
yeah.
nonsense, isn't it? None of it is real. But my daughter, I'm really lucky. It's the 2 of us. Um, she was away at boarding school. And so I think that helped her in the sense that not everything is what it seems. The grass isn't always greener on the other side, if you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
she's really tuned in. Yeah, she still worries about her looks, but I think my me being brought up, that was quite an exception.
Mm,
But I think it's quite natural for people to worry about the way they look, teenagers, and want to look their best. We've just got a sort of big focus on it now because everyone can see your life.
yeah.
But she's not really on social media either. So, and that was her choice. That's her choice. So
Mm,
I've been lucky like that. But of course, there are young girls out there that are completely, um, you know, taken in by it, and that's quite sad. And I think that will get better though, as we
yeah.
kind of, as social media matures. I think we'll learn how to handle it more.
I hope so.
So there is light at the end of
Yeah,
at the end of the
I hope so. I
yeah.
really do think that there's a lot of pressure out there. So, okay, so you were these young girls that had quite a humble and rich upbringing in that sense. And then fast forward and you're being photographed, you're
Mm.
on the screen of everyone, you were voted, was it FHM's top 100 like most beautiful women in the world? Sexiest.
I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
Sexiest, hot
I love how
bitch,
just
top
so like
bitch of the top 100 bitch in the world. I don't know. I can't
I
remember.
love how laid back you are. Like some women, that would be such an incredible accolade. Like being part of that list, not once but twice, and you're just so like
I
chilled
don't
with
know.
it.
Listen. It's just so much of it is just nonsense, isn't it? Like, how could you possibly be in the top 100 in the world? There are so many beautiful women out there. So it's just who's kind of the flavor of the month at that time. So don't take it seriously at all. Your looks are your looks, aren't they? And I wasn't brought up with that kind of focus on
Yeah,
you've got to be beautiful to get to where you want to get to. It's helped, don't get me wrong, it's helped, but it's not the be all and end all. Um, and I lived in India for 6 years. I moved there when I was 20, I think, and I was working for a music channel. And I kind of got used to before I came to London and worked in the UK. I'd already had a lot of fame over there.
yeah, okay,
So by the time I came here, I was quite seasoned and I knew how to handle it.
yeah,
And I come from a really working class background. We lived in a council estate in East London. So it was really I just never got taken in by it all.
no, okay.
Never got taken in by all of the nonsense.
I love how raw and authentic you are in the way that you look at all of this, which obviously takes me to the women that I'm super passionate at the moment about supporting, which is women that are reaching midlife or going through it. The way they look plays a big part because suddenly they've stopped, Layla, to take a breath. And for some women, they've realized this is their time where the children have grown up, life has slowed down a little bit. And then when they go to actually look at themselves in the mirror, the reflection looking back at them is very different. And all they see is age and lack. Or actually, it's such an important time, I think, without, like you said earlier, without sounding cringe. It's such an important time to actually embrace who you are. Like every line tells a story, right? All the wisdom and all the experience and all the maybe the hurt and the pain and the goodness, like that's all brought you to be this incredible woman that actually should be blessed to have waking up and see a new day. Like you're so empowering in your message about, it doesn't really matter what you look like, it's about what's inside. What sort of messages could you leave maybe women listening this who maybe are looking in the mirror and thinking, I just don't like what I see.
With social media and the internet and all of that, there's a lot of you can find your little tribe.
Mm,
Um, and it's relearning and sort of unlearning the things that if you've been a mother for the
yeah,
last 20 years, you've got to sort of find a new passion because we do. I think as women, we kind of put a lot of ourselves in other people. So we're either pushing our partners or our children or looking after our parents. We take a lot on.
Mm.
When you get to that age where you've got time on your hands and you don't know what to do with it, and that's rare, by the way, because most women
Yeah.
are out there working in their 50s. They've not retired.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's a very romantic way of looking at it where, oh, I'm looking, you know, I'm an incredible person. Not all of us are incredible. Not all of us are out there or put on this earth to achieve incredible things. It's absolutely great to be normal. I can't
Mm.
stand this sort of, I think it's kind of toxic positivity, this kind of good vibes only nonsense that you've got to be happy all the time. And I'm quite, you know, I really love stoicism.
Mm.
I love, you know, stoic philosophers like Epictetus. I love what they say because it's just so, it's true, it's real. It's not this kind of romantic, we don't romanticize age and beauty and all these things. For me, that's where I sit.
Yeah.
I don't like to sit there and pretend that I'm this incredible woman and I've done incredible things, because not really. No, maybe for me I have, but there are women out there that have achieved so many things. You know, we kind of sit here in the West and, like, you know, talk about childbirth and this and that. And you just think, you know, like, I come from a country in Africa where women are doing this all the time. I'm not,
Mm.
you know, I'm not stoic in the sense that just get up and get on with it. But
Yeah.
there has to come a time where this is life.
Yeah.
This is what my life is. How do I make it the best that it can be and not be something that I can't be, and listen to this sort of romantic ideology of what a woman is, and you're just incredible
Yeah.
because you're a woman. I can't buy into that, I'm
I
afraid.
think that I would absolutely drive you nuts if we lived
Yeah,
together.
I think you would. Be like, get a grip!
It's my kids as well, because I do wake up in that kind of happy, positive life.
No, it's great. I love
Um,
it. I love if it's real. I think it's fantastic. I'm not saying that you should be miserable. It's just,
Yeah.
you know,
But I think there's a sweet spot, Layla, where everyone has got an incredible journey that they can walk. And they're all different levels.
Mm.
Like one person, it might be, I don't know, landing on the moon, where someone else, it might be, you know, getting a job at a local shop that they wanted to go to and just never had the confidence to actually go and ask if there was, like, it's every single person, I believe, has a goal, and every woman can smash it. And it's just about not being brave enough to do something and finding maybe that inner confidence to go and get it. And that's incredible in itself. If you can achieve something that you thought you'd never be able to do, regardless of what the world thinks and how big it is or how small it is.
I totally agree with you. And I think, you know, most people can achieve most things if they, you know, if they're smart enough, they're confident enough, they're focused enough, they have certain abilities. Absolutely, 100%. But it's not that I'm not talking about having a positive outlook on life. That's not what I mean. It's just being realistic about certain things. You know, it's like you watch something like The X Factor and people come on and they can't sing, and, like, who told you? My parent, my dad, my mum
I
said.
know.
Do you know what I mean? And I think that's negative positivity. I think that's quite unfair.
Quite
So
false.
yeah, and it falls. Well, yeah, it's unfair. And I think when you take that into that kind of you know, ideology into the real world, that's when it becomes problematic. So my thing is not about you can't achieve things and stagnate yourself. Absolutely not. I think you should go out and grab life by, you know, by the
Yeah.
you know what. But I also think there are days when you don't feel great and you don't look great and you haven't achieved anything, and it's perfectly normal.
Yeah.
It's perfectly okay.
Yeah.
And it's perfectly normal, okay to want a normal life. I don't really want to achieve great things. I just really want to do in my 9 to 5, spend time with my family, and that's it. That makes me happy. So I think there's this pressure on women to be everything and to
Mm.
go out there and achieve big things. And some women just don't want to do that. And that's fine. You
But
know,
don't you feel like there's some women that do want to do it, but just don't believe they can?
yeah. And there are some men as well.
Yeah.
There are some men that believe that want to do things and they don't believe they can. But you know, that's a different process. That's changing the way you think about life, the way you
Yeah.
think about, that's a lot of internal work that you have to do.
And
And
also, you touched on it earlier, it's your tribe as well.
yeah,
I think by having the right people around you that also lift you and encourage you, and not, as you were saying earlier, in that false arena where they're just telling you the complete opposite of actually what you are and what you can do, but actually bringing out the very best in you and helping you celebrate. I think for women, it is so important to have the right women around you as
Yeah,
well.
I think
Because one thing that really bothers me is that everybody talks about how great women are together, but actually, if you get the wrong women in your camp, it can actually be really, really difficult.
I love women. I come from a family of
Yep.
mostly girls. But I can tell you when my female bosses have been the most challenging. And that's because, there's never been enough space for more than
Yep.
one or two females. So you're kind of fighting for those spaces, and also as an Arab, you've got you're an Arab and you're female. There's not enough room for you.
Yeah.
So when you're kind of faced with that, I've always found I've not that it's always been women, but I can think of 2 or 3 where I've had a really challenging time with female bosses. And I understand that. I understand that because we're kind of fighting for the same job, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I think female friends are so important
Mm.
for women. I've found that they've been like my backbone when I've needed them.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. If you can find that circle of friends, be they sisters, be they just friends, whatever, if you can find that support network, there's nothing that you can't do. There's nothing that you can't do.
And I think opposites can sometimes also attract. So having people, and one of the reasons I'm saying that is because when we spoke on the phone, something that we touched on was boundaries and, the need to always people please and actually not knowing how to cut things off when they no longer serve you. And that's something I really, really struggle with. And we'll go into it a bit more now, but you talked in such an inspiring way. And then it was literally about a week later, 10 days later, and something happened in my life. And I remember sitting in the Waitrose car park, freaking out a little bit, thinking, this is so unhealthy and I just need to cut this person out, but I don't know how to do it. The only way I know is Joanne's way, which is just to forget about it and keep going. But then that cycle repeats. And so I picked up my phone and you were the first person I thought about. And I remembered that conversation and I left you a voice note going, Layla, help me. I need to cut someone off and I don't know how to do it. And actually the words that you said in your message back to me was so powerful. And it was because we were so opposite that you could offer that strength.
Yeah, a different perspective. What did I say? I can't even remember what I said.
Yeah, I love that you're so black and white. You were literally just cut them out. You were like, you don't need them. Don't worry about it. It's not good behavior. Cut them out. Move on. Very, you said a lot more, but that was basically what it was. And I was like, yeah, Layla. Yeah, I'm going to cut them out. Yeah,
girlfriend. No, do you know what? It's just, like I said, it's a very stoic way of seeing things. And what stoicism teaches you is people think it's like, oh, just, grin and bear it and just cut people. No, it's about sitting with that emotion, those emotions that you were having.
Yeah.
Dealing with it. Don't let it overwhelm you and then letting it go. That's it.
Yeah.
If you've had your time, it's like talking to somebody. Oh, I need to talk. Okay, I'm going to give you 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Bitch about what you want to bitch about. And then that's it. Now, then we move on.
Yeah.
And then we crack on. And that's what Stoicism has taught me, just, sort of studying Stoicism is that you just sit down, whether it's anger, and anger is a great emotion. Anger is a really positive emotion. It can change things that are not fair if you use it positively. And all these things, that's what I mean about that, this kind of negative positivity. You can change things. You can change the way you're thinking. You can only have one thought a day, one thought at a time. You can only, so that means you can change a negative to a positive.
Yeah.
So if you're sat there and this person's hurt you, deal with the pain. By all means, you have to.
Yeah.
Because it'll just resurface at some point if you don't. Just don't let it overwhelm you.
No.
And once you've dealt with it, let it go. It'll come back. And then eventually you give it less and less time. What was 20 minutes would become 10, then 2. And then it'd just be like fluff on your shoulder. It's just like, oh yeah, that. Oh yeah, him or her. And that's what it becomes. So it's really important not to let emotions overwhelm you and to act on those emotions, because that's just instant gratification and it gets nobody anywhere.
No, yeah. You're so right. I do think you do have to sit in them. The other problem is when people don't express, they don't get that anger out, they don't get their tears out. And then that builds up something else inside of them. I'm really up for a really good cry. I feel amazing after I've had it. I'm like, oh, I feel so much better now. Right, let's just move on. So I wanted to touch on something else then and actually pick your brains with this, because again, I think you could really support me as well as other women listening to this that maybe also struggle with this like I do, which is people pleasing. And it's about always saying yes because you really struggle. It's almost painful to say no because you don't want to let another person down, to the point where you'd put yourself out. You wouldn't hurt yourself, but you would put yourself out time and time again for someone else.
Look, there's nothing wrong with putting yourself out. I don't think there's anything wrong with putting yourself out. And I think there are times where you have to put other people first. So all this thing like that we're hearing now about this, oh, I've got to think of myself first all the time. I don't believe in that. I think it's a really selfish and unrealistic way of dealing with things. Sometimes you do have to put other people first. Sometimes you have to put your parents first, or your kids first, or your partner first, whatever it is. It's absolutely normal, and it's a good thing and a selfless thing to do. But when you find that, it's a pattern. I've never been a people pleaser. I believe in pleasing those that I want to please.
Yeah, but not
but
everyone
not
and
everyone.
anyone.
No, if I
Yeah.
don't want to do anything, it's a simple no. That's the solution. The thing is, it's like, if I want to get healthy and lose weight, the solution is simple. You eat well and you move more. But it's just hard to do.
Yeah.
It's a really simple answer. It's just hard to do. And it's the same thing with people pleasing. You just say no.
But honestly, it is so hard.
It's so tough, but you have to start somewhere. You have to it could be from the smallest thing.
Yeah.
Oh, are you making a cup of tea? No, I'm not.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm not making a cup of tea. If you want one, go and make it. Do you know what I mean?
But I do agree. You do need to start it, because I've started implementing it very gently.
Gently, yeah.
But I'm like, oh, I said no and I survived it. And actually, I have time now to do what I really want instead of doing what somebody else wanted.
You've got to have the confidence to know that person's not going to dislike me because I've said no.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's where it kind of stems from.
I agree.
What if they're angry with me, or they're upset if I don't do it? They're not really. When you sit there and talk, people are kind. People are kind, and people are, they have empathy. So if you sit there and say, look, I really can't, I've got so much going on, I'm doing this podcast, and I just don't have the time. They're like, no worries.
Yeah.
They don't hold it against you. People are really supportive if you give them the opportunity to be supportive.
Yeah.
And
I think that's where boundaries are so important as well, having personal boundaries, which kind of takes me into the next part I wanted to talk about, which was actually relationships and breakups, which everyone at some point in their life goes through, whether you're a young 13-year-old at school that's, you're the boy that you fancied your whole life is suddenly just broken up with you, to someone that's much, much older and been in a very, very long marriage. Like, breakups are really, really difficult. And it's something that you have also experienced. A bit harder for you because, unfortunately, you're often in the public eye with it, which puts so much more pressure on. But how important do you think boundaries are in relationships, and without having them contribute to difficult breakups?
Oh, I think boundaries are important in every relationship, be it platonic, romantic, it doesn't matter. I think boundaries are something that you have to have in life. And they're like a no-go zone. That's it. And it's sometimes, those boundaries are blurred, and that's normal, especially in romantic relationships.
Love blurs everything.
Love blurs everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think boundaries are really, like, if you don't have those, it breeds resentment, and in another year you'll just be resentful of your partner or that friendship, whatever it is. So I think boundaries are really, really important. I think it's important to talk about them too, without sort of over-egging it. It's important to let that friend or partner, and we're talking about romantic partnerships here, so it's important to let your partner know where your boundaries are, because everyone's boundaries are different as well.
Yeah.
And what's important to you may not be important to me, and vice versa. So I think that's really, and what that does is it builds respect, trust, and these are the foundations of any relationship. Without those, I think it's really hard to be in a relationship.
And clarity as well, because people know where they stand.
Absolutely. And I think, like we said, those boundaries, when it comes to romantic relationships, they're going to be blurred.
Yeah.
They will get blurred, and people do push those boundaries. You see it with children when they're young, they push those boundaries. But you've got to sort of, it's really hard, but it's doable to keep those boundaries in place.
Yeah, it's essential.
Yeah, it's essential.
There's so much out there at the moment, Layla, and I don't know if you've seen it, where they keep talking about women that get to midlife and there's such a peak in divorce rates. And it's because a lot of people are saying they come to a point where they realize they've been putting up with stuff for years that maybe they finally have the confidence to speak out about. Some people are saying, oh, they're going through perimenopause and menopause and they're going crazy and kind of
Mm.
leaving life behind. What's your take on that?
I think you do see that. You know, I mean, I was reading about this woman who has terminal cancer and she divorced her husband
Right.
because she's realised actually we don't want the same things. I think sometimes, you know, this kind of, oh, she's perimenopause, she's menopausal or whatever. I think this is it's just misogyny, isn't it? It's like, oh, it's not that time of the month, is it? There's
Yeah.
always,
Oh
do
gosh.
you know what I
Those
mean? It's
feel.
that same kind of,
Yeah.
so I'm not even going to discuss that bit because it's just absolute nonsense. But I think, yeah, women, like I said to you earlier,
Mm,
we are caregivers. We look after our kids, we look after our parents, our siblings. We spend our life caring for people. And I think you do get to an age where all that goes and you're just left with yourself.
mm,
Hence what you were saying, you look in the mirror and you're like, oh my gosh,
yeah.
like I don't even recognize who I am. And
Yeah.
it's like relearning
Mm,
everything or just seeing life from a different perspective. So I'm not surprised that this happens. I'm not,
yeah.
because you when you've got a little bit more time on your hands and you could start focusing on yourself,
Mm,
you realize maybe he's not as he's not the person I thought he was, or I'm not as happy as I thought I was, or
mm,
I don't have my children to focus on anymore because they've gone off, and
yeah.
what do I do? And we don't really have much to talk about. I think that's happened throughout history. It's just, you know, we weren't in a position to walk away. You
Yeah.
know, women were not in the workforce. They were not independent. So we didn't have that sort of support to leave our marriages or our relationships.
Yeah.
So I would suspect that that's happened. Women have felt like that throughout history. It's just now we talk about it and we can move on.
And
And
it's
men do it too.
oh
Like men do
gosh.
it too.
Yeah. No,
You know, I've
absolutely.
seen men in my family. They, you know, they're like find the 26-year-old girlfriend. They're having a midlife
Gosh.
crisis too.
Yeah,
And you're like,
let's
oh
not
my
go into
God, I can
that.
see this guy.
Buy the
I can
car,
see this
not
guy
the
by the
girlfriend.
car.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're like, oh gosh. So it happens. It
Yeah.
happens, you know.
But I think for women, and I'm sure you'd agree, Layla, it's okay. Like there's a message out there to say it's okay if you get to that point where you feel, because I feel like there's so much guilt. You might have built that confidence. You might look at your life and realize that actually it's not serving you in the way that it once did. And like you said, people can grow and people can change. But then there's all this guilt, like as a woman, you're actually going to walk away. But it's okay to look after yourself. It's okay to acknowledge that this
Absolutely.
is not serving you anymore.
No, absolutely. I completely agree with that. But you know what it is? Just stop telling women what to do. That's all.
Mm,
Just stop telling them what to wear. They can wear a scarf. They can't wear a scarf. They can wear short dresses. They can't wear short. Like, just they can be happy. They can't be. Just stop. Just
yeah.
stop. They can have it all. They can't have it all. Just stop telling us what to do. We're perfectly capable, and
Yeah.
that's where the guilt comes in, because we're getting like all these mixed messages, especially women now of our age,
Mm,
because we were brought up in a completely different time where, you know, women were just coming into the
yeah.
workforce. They were not earning as much as men, and we've seen that grow. And then, you know, in the 2000s, we were told you can have it all. You can be a great mother, but you can also be really successful in your career. And you're like, I can't juggle this.
Yeah.
You
How
don't
do
know,
I do it
I'm
all?
being a really bad mum because I'm working 12-hour days, or I'm not getting the promotions because I've got to look after my kids.
Yeah.
You know, because we do take the full force, most of the
Yeah.
responsibilities of children. And I think it's a natural need as well to want to do that.
Mm.
So we've kind of seen women at our age now, we've seen all of that
Mm.
growth. And now we're kind of in this place where we're kind of still dictating to women, you don't have to feel guilty. You don't have to do this. You can do. It's like, just let us be, because we're
Yeah.
perfectly capable of working it out for ourselves, provided we have our little friends,
Mm.
those people that love us, that
Guide
want the
us.
best for us, that are there to sort of for a shoulder to cry on.
Yeah.
Just leave me be. Let me
Yeah.
wear what I want. Let me speak how I want. Let me deal with my life how I want. And
Yeah.
it's all okay. It's all okay.
Just drown out all
Yeah.
that white noise.
Yeah, because
and just
it's always, that's what annoys me, is the amount of sort of instructions women get on how to live their life, how to be a mother. You know, I remember when my daughter was born, and I can't remember, it's she writes these baby books about letting your child cry, and teaching you how to, stop your child from crying or whatever. Just let it cry. Don't go to it. Leave it, even if it's crying. And I couldn't do it. I mean, I couldn't do it. She was sleeping in bed with me.
Yeah, I was the
It's
same.
like, I don't care. There's all these books about how to be a mother, what to do with your children, how to keep your lover, what to do in bed, how to have it all. And it's all aimed at women.
Yeah.
And if you look at the books for men, it's like 100 most, how to make $1 billion. It's like, just, oh, please. You want to control every aspect of our lives.
Yeah.
And we're perfect. If you just let us be, we are perfectly capable of working it out ourselves.
Another area, which I know is an area that you are also quite passionate about, is about starting to take control of their sex life, basically.
Yeah.
And
Their
sexual
sexual
well-being.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your definition of sexual well-being?
Firstly, it's having clarity about what it is that you want from your sex life.
Mhm.
And then finding the courage to be honest about that. And there's this thing at the moment that's really big, which is like a sex fast, where you just don't have sex, and and it's like fasting,
Yeah.
it's a detox.
Right.
Because I think we've put so much emphasis on your sex life, and dress like this and be sexy, and this is how you can turn your lover on, and this is what you should be. Oh, you haven't done that before. Oh, you should try this, you should try that. And I think you just need to back off again and just work it out for yourself. And once you've worked it out for yourself and delve into it, I just remember, like, when I was younger, there was this big thing about, like, losing your virginity. Have you lost your virginity? This is like 16 years old. I mean, this is back in the day.
Yeah.
I didn't have my first boyfriend until I think 19 and a half. I didn't feel the pressure to do all of that. But I remember my friends at school, it's just the constant pressure on us. And sex plays a big part in that, to go out there and experiment. And great, if that's what you want to do. Absolutely fine.
So what about women then in midlife? Because this is also an issue that a lot of women struggle with. I have a lot of friends that actually suddenly just won't have it, can't have it.
What, have sex, you mean?
Yeah, it's just menopause brings on so many issues that actually for them it's game over. And actually that then has a knock-on effect on their marriages and relationships, etc., etc. But it's such an important part of well-being as a whole for a human being, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. It's important. It's an important part of a relationship. For me, the way I see things, whether it's emotions, a sort of biological, I see it as a temporary thing. This is going to pass.
Mm-hmm.
We all have our ups and downs. And I think when you're talking about menopause, it's completely natural what these women are going through, and it doesn't have to be permanent. It isn't permanent.
No.
But I think once you get into a relationship where there is no sex, and it's become 6 months, then it's a year, then it's a year and a half, you're getting into a pattern then, and that's dangerous territory. And that's when you need to seek help or instigate the sex, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So I think everyone is different. The relationships are different. But if it's just purely menopausal, you have to say to yourself that it's temporary.
Yeah.
It's temporary.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's when you sort of sit in that space and think, I'm going to be like this forever.
Yeah.
It's done. It's over. I don't really want it, and I don't fancy it. No. You're going to convince yourself that's the truth, and that's how you're going to stay.
And I think we're definitely in a day and age now where people are talking about it more. There's so much support out there. And so I guess if there is anyone listening that's really struggling in that area, know that there is so much help out there to
so
change the
help.
Outcome. Like, this doesn't have to be your narrative for the rest of your life.
There's nothing wrong with taking a step back and really kind of rediscovering yourself, because it's you're living in a different body almost after menopause.
Yeah.
So just kind of rediscovering who you are and what you like and what you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
And I think that's, building your confidence in that area. I think that's really important. It's really important for women. We give birth. We just, we go through so much.
I was just thinking, from an early
so
age,
many changes.
The time your period starts to then and for many women carrying a baby, and then the whole labour, and then after that, and then menopause kicks in.
Yeah, I would just sort of take that time out for myself and really figure out what I'm going through, understand it's not permanent, and try and, rectify it that way.
Yeah.
But it's not, what they're feeling is not unnatural.
No.
You're not the only one.
Yeah, that's such an important message. I think you're not the only
Yeah.
one. Just know that. I was saying to you earlier, like music is my absolute life, Layla. Like it feeds me like nothing else. Like music has lifted me. It's taken me through the worst parts of my life. And you know, when you talked about earlier how you can, you know, you have a single thought, you can change it. You can change a state like that. Music does that for me. Like I'm sure you've got lots of songs, but is there a song that really comes to mind that lifts you, takes you to that happy place, or helps you change your state, or has meaning to you?
Look, I worked for a music channel in Asia, Channel V, Star TV Asia, for 6 years. So music is a massive part of my life. And I've met some amazing musicians, some of the most talented people in the world. I've been really, really fortunate. So I've got music, like a whole catalogue of music that can I mean, I'm a massive Prince fan. Prince is my, like, he is everything to me. Everything, absolutely everything.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, so Prince is has been a huge part of my life. George Michael. There are albums like Stevie Wonder, Anita Baker. There's some
Yeah,
amazing
beautiful.
albums out there. Just
Yeah.
that are sort of like the soundtrack to your life. But Naka is like an artist at the moment that I really love. I love her stuff. She talks about layers and coming from, you know, different parts of the world, and I don't look like what you expect me to look like. And I think it's really interesting. You know, my daughter is of different heritage.
Yeah.
She's like half African, half Asian. So I think it's really apt today. And I just love her whole style. And I love that it's acoustic, and she's just super, super talented songwriter, beautiful voice. And it just kind of gives me hope, because I think young people are brilliant. I love young people. I love the youth, and I love their passion. And they give me joy, you know, like they're so clever and smart. And, you know, we can talk about the whole Instagram thing, but then there's a whole different, the majority of them are out there protesting and fighting, you know, they're fighting for their rights. And I love it.
New light, new energy.
Yeah, just a new energy. And I just love hanging around, like, you know, youth, because I think it's so inspiring. And we have a lot to learn from them, just as our elders had a lot to learn from us.
Yeah.
You know, I find, and she's an artist that I find inspiring.
And I love that you say that, because often we do look at our elders as the one that teaches us wisdom, but actually there's so much to look at in the youth. And I definitely resonate with you in that. And I look at some of the ways they handle things, the way that they carry themselves. Even with my own daughter, I look at her and I think, wow, she's so much more together, or her opinions are so strong and really rounded. And I learn so much from her. So I think it's so important to acknowledge our older and wiser, but then also our new generation.
I think the new
They're
generation
incredible.
is incredible. And you're seeing what's happening in America. And, you know, it is the voice of the youth that's sort of standing up to the nonsense that we're seeing over there. You're seeing, you know, the protests happening here every sort of 2-3 weeks. And it's, you know, young people out there, they're spending their Saturdays protesting for, you know, human rights. And I think it's just beautiful. I think it's really beautiful.
Affirmations. Are you big on affirmations at all?
Not really.
Are they? I was
no.
going to say, do they sit in like the fluff bucket?
Yeah, no, I think it's important. Look, I'm all about self-compassion, and I believe that you've got to realize you're your biggest ally, not your biggest enemy. And you can be, you know, like, you've got to talk to yourself like you would talk to a friend. If you sat there and said, do you think my bum looks big in this? And I'm like, oh yeah, I wouldn't wear that if I were you. Doesn't look great. Oh God, you've put on a lot of weight though, haven't you? What have you been doing? I would never say that.
Yeah.
But we talk like that to ourselves.
Our inner
which
voice.
is really damaging. It's our inner dialogue. We've got to change that inner dialogue. So it's not necessarily in a fluff bucket. It's just, I talk like that to myself all the time. I look and I go, do you know what? You look all right. Yeah. You know, you've had better days. You've had worse days. It's all right. It's all good. You know, I just sit at home if it's really bad. Today's a crap day. It's not going to get any better. Yeah. I'm just going to sit at home and watch like reruns of whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't have affirmations per se,
or any sort of quotes, or
you know, like I'll read a book, say, I'm reading this book. I've just started this book called Be Where Your Feet Are,
right,
which is like just be in your reality.
Okay.
My reality right now, be present, is I'm sat here with you and just enjoy it. Don't worry about someone calling me, or is my daughter, like, just be in the
present.
moment. Yeah. So it's really, and it's hard to do. It's really difficult to do because we've got so many distractions, but I'd rather sort of read something like that. I love Khalil Gibran. the
Okay.
Prophet, the books, my favourite books. So sometimes I'll just kind of read a bit of that,
Yeah.
and you don't have to read it's a small book, but just go to whatever page whether it's about friendship or marriage or lovers or children, whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't have affirmations, but I do have, um, books that I go to. I was a huge fan of the Dalai Lama.
Mm.
I went to Tibet and I sort of just started studying the Dalai Lama and Buddhism, and then we had a landslide. So I
Right.
got stuck up in the mountains for 3 days. I couldn't do anything. And there was a Tibetan woman that was making handmade paper, but she didn't speak any English. I didn't
Right.
speak Tibetan. So we just sat there for 3 days. And there was a monastery up there with all these monks, little kids as well. They stay there. So I just spent 3 days with them, just kind of in silence, really, because I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't do anything. And now I started reading about Buddhism, which is like the foundation of all religions,
Mm.
really. And I kind of thought, I really want to meet the Dalai Lama. And I kid you not, like a month later, I was in Mumbai, now called, but it was Bombay at the time. And he was there and he blessed me. He
No.
touched my head and he blessed me. It's like, this is like getting blessed by the Pope. God, I was
Yeah.
so excited. So I kind of go into, religious books because
Spiritual.
I believe in religion as a foundation for
Mm.
life. And I mean all religions,
Yeah.
Buddhism, Hinduism,
Yeah.
Christianity, Islam, all of that. I think they really teach you to be a good person if you read it right, if you interpret
Mm.
it right.
It
So
only
it's a
really
real
promotes
spiritual, yeah.
goodness, right?
Yeah,
If
there's
you
nothing.
take it, I think if you look at all religions and you just strip it back, it's all teaching goodness. Love
Yeah,
your
I mean, there
neighbor,
are things there that
forgive.
you're not gonna agree with in modern day.
Yeah, if you go into the
If you go into the
detail.
details, and there are things that you question, but that's, I know with Islam, it encourages you
Mm.
to question the book. Otherwise, you
Mm.
never understand it. So
Mm.
it encourages you to go out and question and interpret it in the way that fits you almost.
Mm.
And I think it's the same with, Christianity and
Mm.
Judaism and all of that. But, I love Judaism. I think it's such a beautiful religion. It's actually, the minute you wake up, it teaches you gratitude, because I can't
Mm.
remember I don't know if it's Yiddish or Hebrew. I'm not sure, but there's a word that you say
Right.
before you even get out of bed, because years ago, sleep was associated with death.
Yeah,
So when you
okay.
wake up in the morning, there's a Jewish tradition where you thank God for waking up.
Yeah.
So you're beginning your day with gratitude already.
Beautiful.
And I think it's, these religions have really beautiful practices. So
Yeah.
I kind of tend to go into those, although I'm not like super religious.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think,
But I
I'm
do
very
love
spiritual as
religions.
well.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do. I'm fascinated with them.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
like I said, I think it just brings out goodness if
Mm.
you interpret it the right
Yeah.
way and put it
Yeah.
into your life. And it doesn't mean that if you're spiritual that you think you're better than other people, or that especially so I go to church and I've often heard people say, oh, people go to church and they think that they're better than everyone else, yet they're the ones doing this, that, and the other. And I think it's a way of renewing you as a person and keeping you on track and reminding you in those actually really testing moments in time of actually doing the right thing sometimes.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
for
not.
me, church, I just love every time, like if I'm in like Greece or Spain or whatever, if I
Yeah.
see a church, I always go in, because it's like, it's weird. Churches have this vibe where you kind of, there's solitude in there, but you're still with people that are like-minded.
Yeah.
So even if you're going in there to say a prayer, it feels very solitary, but you're still with others around you. So there's that kind of comfort, that blanket around you. And I
Community.
find that really
Yeah.
beautiful. So I always go and light a candle and say a little prayer. But, whatever helps you get through the day. This is the thing. Whatever
Exactly.
helps you get through the day, do it.
Yeah.
You're not harming anyone, whether it's spirituality, whatever it is,
No.
you
And
know,
just embrace it.
embrace it. Yeah.
Whatever's you, go do you.
Yeah.
I think especially as you get to midlife, you get to a point where you just think, actually, I don't care what anyone else thinks anymore.
Yeah.
I'm just going to do me because
Yeah.
this is what feels good
Right. It
and
feels
right
right. It
and
sits right.
authentic.
Yeah.
And you enjoy life so much more.
Yeah, because you're not answering to everybody.
No.
No one really has, sort of saying to you earlier, like, stop telling us what to do. No one has a say in what you do.
No.
Like,
I
leave me
have
alone.
loved sitting here talking to you.
So have I.
You are such a beautiful woman. And I know you'll go, oh, don't be like cringy,
Like,
but you are
cringe. Yeah.
you are so beautiful. And I love that you are so authentic, so raw, so black and white. You just say it as it is. There's no BS. And I think that's what makes up you, Laila. Thank you so much for sitting here. And I know that ladies listening will take so much from this. So thank you so much for everything that you've shared today.
Oh, thanks, Joanne. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Laila, thank you for being the fearless, grounded woman that you are, and for reminding us that power doesn't have to roar. Sometimes it simply just speaks the truth. So to every woman listening, it's not too late and you're not too much. And this is not the end. It is just the beginning.